benefits from this morality, certainly not those who follow these rules. The truth is brutal. This morality was created by the weak to protect themselves from the strong. People without power fear those who have it, so they invent narratives that demonize anyone who tries to ascend. Religious leaders preached for centuries that humility is a virtue, that sacrifice is noble, that accepting your suffering in silence will make you worthy. Meanwhile, they themselves live in luxury and control millions of minds. Governments preach about justice and equality, but they are the first to manipulate laws to ensure they remain in power. Nietzsche contrasted this mentality with master morality, the morality of the strong, of those who shape the world, of those who are not afraid to embrace their desires. For those who follow this morality, ambition is not something to be suppressed. It is fuel. The desire to grow and dominate is not something shameful. It is the essence of life. They do not live to please others, but to expand their own power. Now look at history and see who the great names were that changed the world. Were they those who resigned themselves to the rules imposed by society? Or were they the ones who had the courage to challenge everything? Julius Caesar did not accept the limitations imposed by the Roman Senate. He destroyed them and became a dictator. Napoleon did not accept his position as a mere army officer. He seized power and rewrote the order of Europe. Steve Jobs did not accept that technology should follow a standard. He imposed his vision and redefined an entire industry. The problem is that when you are born immersed in slave morality, you do not even realize how much it limits your life. You feel guilty for wanting more. You feel wrong for desiring power. You're afraid of being seen as arrogant for standing out, because you have always been told that being good means lowering yourself, submitting, and being content with little. But Nietzsche saw this as a disease. He believed that human beings should seek their maximum potential, that they should break the chains imposed by this oppressive morality and embrace their true nature. If there is a fatal flaw that prevents most people from gaining power, it is the inability to control their emotions. Most act on impulse, react instinctively to provocations, and cling to romantic ideals about how the world should be. But Nietzsche saw this as weakness. For him, those who master the game of power are the ones who control themselves before trying to control the world. Look at history. The most influential men were not the most just or the most intelligent. They were the most strategic. While most wear themselves out trying to convince others that they are right, the true winners observe, analyze, and act only when the opportunity is perfect. The problem with most people is that they confuse strength with impulsiveness. They think being strong means reacting to any attack, responding to any provocation, fighting every battle. But that is exactly what the weak do. True strategists choose their battles wisely. They know that every action must have a purpose, and that wasting energy on pointless conflicts is a way to self-sabotage. Nietzsche understood that power belongs to those who know how to play with human psychology. Most people are predictable. They react to anger with anger, to fear with fear, to pressure with despair. Those who master the game of power do the opposite. They use patience as a weapon, calmness as a shield, and silence as a tool for control. Want an example? Julius Caesar knew that his rise depended on the loyalty of the masses, so he used every military victory to reinforce his image as an unbeatable leader. He did not waste time arguing or trying to justify his actions. He let the results speak for themselves. When his enemies attacked him politically, he did not react impulsively. He waited, bought time, built alliances, and when the right moment came, he destroyed his adversaries all at once. In the modern world, the logic is the same. The most successful CEOs are not the ones who work the hardest, but those who know when to act and when to wait. The most powerful people are not the ones who shout the loudest, but those who speak less and observe more. And that is the mistake of most, spending energy trying to prove something to others. True power does not lie in convincing others that you are strong, but in making them feel your strength without you having to say anything. Nietzsche saw this as a matter of personal mastery. Those who control their own emotions control the reactions of others. Those who are not affected by insults, provocations, or attacks have the advantage because they turn their adversary's frustration into weakness. And here is the great lesson. In the game of power, the one who keeps a cool head while others despair wins. While most act on impulse, the true masters of the game wait, observe, and strike at the exact moment. If power were merely a matter of domination and strategy, being ruthless would be enough to ensure eternal success. But history shows that those who rise to the top often fall in the most brutal way. What led them to victory often ends up being the very thing that destroys them. And Nietzsche saw this as an inevitable cycle for those who do not know how to balance strength and wisdom. Take Julius Caesar. He conquered Rome with his cunning vision and ability to manipulate allies and enemies. But the same Senate he politically dominated turned against him. Caesar was stabbed to death by those who once supported him, including Brutus, someone he considered almost a son. His ruthlessness and desire for absolute control created too many enemies, and in the end, he lost everything. Napoleon followed the same path. He took Europe with speed and military intelligence never seen before, but his ambition blinded him. He did not know when to stop. When he invaded Russia, he ignored all warnings about the risks of winter and Russian resistance. His insatiable quest for more territory led to his downfall. He was exiled, humiliated, and died far from the glory he sought so desperately. And if you think this is a thing of the past, look at the corporate world. Business leaders who built empires are often destroyed by their own creations. Jeff Skilling of Enron manipulated markets and seemed untouchable, until the scandal came to light and he ended up in prison. Elizabeth Holmes promised to revolutionize medicine with Theranos, but her desire for power led her to lie and forge results until everything collapsed. The lesson is clear. Ruthlessness without control destroys even the most powerful. Nietzsche understood that absolute power can lead to blindness. When someone believes they are above the rules, that they will never be toppled, that their strength is unquestionable, they stop seeing the risks. They begin to make mistakes they would never have made before. They underestimate opponents. They create enemies without realizing it. And when they finally do realize, it is already too late. But is there a way to avoid this fall? Yes. And Nietzsche pointed to the answer: balance. A true master of power is not only strong, he is wise. He understands that winning is only half the game. The other half is knowing when to stop, when to consolidate his dominance instead of continuing to expand without limits, when to eliminate enemies and when to turn them into allies. Those who fall are those who confuse power with invincibility, those who rise and keep rising until the very weight of their arrogance causes them to crumble. At this point, one thing should be clear. The world is not a fairy tale where the most virtuous win. Power does not reward goodness. It rewards strategic intelligence, boldness, and the ability to play by the rules of the game, or rather, to rewrite them when necessary. But does that mean you must abandon all morality? That you need to become an unrelenting tyrant to carve out your space? That is the trap many fall into. Power destroys those who treat it merely as a weapon. Nietzsche never preached blind tyranny. He saw power as an instrument of transformation, a means to forge your own path without becoming a slave to greed or destruction. The true winner is not the one who merely takes power, but the one who knows how to maintain it. This means finding a balance between strategy and emotional intelligence, knowing when to be ruthless and when to be calculatedly generous, when to attack and when to retreat, when to silence your enemies and when to make them useful. The problem for most people is that they live in extremes. Some spend their lives being exploited, believing that the world will reward their goodness. Others, upon awakening to the reality of power, plunge into a path of destruction and paranoia until they become victims of their own brutality. But there is a third way, the way of those who understand the game, but do not allow themselves to be consumed by it. The great truth is this: you can live believing in justice and continue to be a pawn on someone else's board. Or you can accept reality, learn the real rules of power, and consciously decide how to play it. If this video has made you see reality differently, subscribe to the channel and comment. Power is not asked for, it is taken. See you in the next video.